This tutorial is going to use advanced techniques with history, which include advanced custom rail tool, along with the multi-rail sweep tool with profile, place, or edit points in order to create a really advanced use of both of these tools, which involve history as well. So together we're going to create a really advanced way to use history. To begin, we're going to place the ring size of your choice and start with a gem. Go to the gem menu and click on the gem loader. We'll roll some of this up so we can see what we're doing here. We're going to choose a pear-shaped gem in the 0.6 carat size. Now notice this comes out centered for the culet, which is great, but we also want to center it so the ring will be fully centered in its design. So go to the utilities menu and choose the center object utility. Move it to 0 at X, Y, and Z. The next step is to place an outside rail. Okay, let's first move the gem up to about where we want this outside rail. So use F6 and MSR. And using the little yellow one here that drags it up in the Z direction, we're going to place it above the rail about the distance you want for the final design of the ring. And press enter to place it and let go of the handles and end the command. Okay, to place this outside rail, we're going to go to the tools menu and choose the outer rail tool. You can click this shape here where it says rail profile to open the library browser and choose any of these shapes. We're going to use one that's really easy at the top right here. Some of these will create kind of a wacky shape for you when you're done. So we're going to select one like the egg here that has a really gentle shape at the top to make this easier on the tools. Click on start to start it up and just use the handles to get it to the thickness you want in all the different dimensions that are possible. And press enter once you're done. Okay, let's job bag this step here. Okay, our next order of business is to begin creating the rails, and to do that we're going to select the gem shape and go into the gems menu and place a profile or just a simple curve right along the girdle of the gem that's in the shape of that gem. And that uses the gem profile tool, the very last thing in this menu, so select that tool, put the gem into the tool, and you'll see that curve be created and your handles will be provided to you. But since we don't need to change the size of this, we just want its shape, just press enter when you're done. And you'll see that curve very faintly. Select him. Okay, and the next order of business is to get this flat along the grid in the looking down grid so that it's flat here, planar with everything else we're going to be drawing to create the shapes. To do that, we go to the transform menu and select the project to C-plane tool, which is going to take this curve and make it flat in the shape we have right here against that looking down grid. So it's like pushed or smashed onto that grid by the tool. The key to this is we want to select it in the looking down viewport where it already looks like the correct shape. In through finger or side view, it just looks like a straight line, and that's no good for us. That would make a straight line flat against either one of those grids. And what we want is a pear shape flat against the looking down grid. So make sure this view is active. Choose project to C-plane. You can delete those input objects because we don't need the one up by the gem anymore, and just hit yes. And there it is, flat against the grid. No change in this view. Let's also job bag it at this stage. Okay, and to help us create these curves, we're going to need the profiles so that they're as close as possible. We want the rails and profiles as close as possible while we're creating, when we're doing the advanced multi-rail sweeping. So we're going to select the inside curve and add some profiles to it at this stage. These are in the tools menu, of course. Choose the profile placer and place it into the curve box. Okay, with our O snaps on at the quad, we're going to bring this up to the quadrant right here and choose a new shape for that profile. Once that box appears, we're going to look through for the correct shape. We're going to use this one right here, profile 22. Go ahead and scale it down. You want it at the outside of the outer rail, so 2 millimeters. And also scale down the width to about 4 millimeters. That should look good for this ring. 4.2 then. Press enter. Okay, in fact, I'm kind of enter happy, so go ahead and F6 again, and we're going to go ahead and mirror this MSR and mirror if you forgot to do it like I did. Just press enter. So you need both of these. Okay, we'll job bag it at this stage also. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn off our gem so we can see the curves that we have to work with. To begin, we're going to take the inside pear shape and run the split with a point command. Here's the split command. We start that up and choose the point option. We're going to split it at the top at about the 10 position, at about the 7 position, and about the 4 position, and press enter. Remember, you're just clicking at each of those positions in order to place the split point. Delete everything we don't need. I'm going to go ahead and color code these to make it a little easier to see what we're blending about here. Okay, we'll need a little thickness for this ring, so we're going to offset both of these the thickness that we want at the top of the ring. Select the curve and go to the curve offset tool. We're going to offset it about 1 millimeter. Keep both of these on the same color for you. And offset this one 1 millimeter as well. And we'll job bag this stage. Now, to create the blend curves that are going to help us create the rails, we're going to start with what I like to call a cue, or a little line to help us with the blend. Go to the line command and start this cue snapping to the end of the profile. It always helps if you choose project, just in case you hadn't placed these right on the grid ahead of time. Start this line here by left clicking. And of course you want it directly in the angle of this little profile, but you don't find any snap points here to snap that to. The trick right now is to go to the end, okay, so that you're locked in exactly the correct angle, and don't click, just press tab. That will lock you into the angle of that curve. You'll get to see that a few more times, so don't worry. Extend it out just a little ways and left click to place the line. Want to see that again? Start up the line command. Start the first point of the line by left clicking. Now, snap to something without left clicking, just snapping. Press tab, and you'll be locked into the angle of that curve that you snap to. Again, give it a little extension, doesn't matter how long. And repeat on the other side of the ring. We'll go to the green color this time. And press tab, and extend that curve, and repeat, and press tab, and, oop, did I? Nope. And snap and press tab, and then left click. You're now set up with all the cues you're going to need to create these rails. I like to use the blend curve handles command, because I'm not really good at knowing where I should create these curves in order to make an interesting result, or a pretty result with my blend shape. Blend curve handles is a little bit more forgiving. So we'll choose blend curve handles, choose the end to blend, which are the ends closest to one another. Don't click on this end, but if you do, you have a flip option up here with this tool, which the other tool doesn't have, which I really like. Now you can move around these control points until you like the results on the curve. Kind of a fun feature. And press enter when you're done. Let's blend that again with the curve handles, choosing both ends that are closest to each other. And again, we can go ahead and change this shape any way we might like at this point in the design process. And press enter. To finish this up, we're going to join all 3 curves together and rebuild them with a new number of control points. That just ensures that we'll have a more successful result after advanced custom rail, because it's only using 1 curve. Use as few control points as necessary to not change the curve too much. You'll see the little indicator where it's changing the curve, and that's really not so bad, so we'll hit OK. Do the same thing to these 3. Join them up and rebuild them. Okay, 10's good. And we'll job bag these results. Do the same thing on the other side of the ring. We're going to choose the blend curve handles command with the inside 2 curves. And if you like the results, press enter. Start it up again with these two, and here's where you can really see how blend curve handles helps. I didn't know how long to make this curve to make a pretty result. It's not very pretty to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the end point to where I want it to end. See, you can make even some really interesting things with this. Right about there, and click again to end it. Now, if you have trim equals yes, you'll be able to hit enter and get rid of this little shard right there that we don't need. We'll join these up as well. Only the trick here is to first fillet this before we rebuild it. That'll make a lot more successful rebuild because we won't be trying to maneuver around that kink or really sharp part of the surface. The fillet command lives right here in the curve menu, and just fillet both sides. I like a radius of about 0.35 millimeters. That makes it smooth but not too mushy. Redo that fillet and fillet the other curve. And now you can join all these up and rebuild these curves. You'll need a bit more control points in order to do this properly. Just make sure it doesn't deviate too far from the original and click OK. Go ahead and job bag this at this stage. Now, before we can use Advanced Custom Rail, we're going to really pump the power of that tool by adding a side shape. So go ahead and turn your gem back on if you turned it off like I did. Grab the cutting layer to just differentiate these curves, and we're going to go up to the arc direction tool and just make sure you draw this starting. This is a side view shape. It's a side profile. So just make sure you draw this starting past the very top of this other curve. It's going to do another curve from 2 views. So essentially curve from 3 views using the center curve. So make sure it's past the outer rail curve, right about there. Then extend it down to the thickness you want at the base of the ring, again extending past the curve at the bottom. And then just bend it in ever so slightly to make a pleasing shape for the ring. And this is going to be the shape of this ring in the side view viewport, especially for the bottom right here, so that it tapers nicely down at the bottom. We can mirror this because we know the gem is centered on F4. And the last part of this, because when we do the multi-rail, okay, we're going to need one shape for one side and one shape for the other. We're going to do another instance of, okay, we're going to get one more curve in here, so we're going to need one more instance of multi-rail in order to place our profiles on it. So I'm going to place another side shape in advance, knowing that I'm going to plan to do that, and that's going to be just straight up and down to ensure that's a really straight profile. I start up the line command. Going to press F4 to make it from the center and make sure my both sides is turned on, and just hold down Shift to draw this straight up and down. Again, the length doesn't matter, it's just going to extend past the outside rail top here. Going to job bag this. And we are all set up for our multi-rail sweeps. Or I'm sorry, oops, our Advanced Custom Rail tool, okay? Advanced Custom Rail is like curve from 2 views, but it gives you the history option, and it also gives you the side profile option, making it really like a curve from 3 views tool, so it's a very powerful tool. So to help us know which ones to use together in the Advanced Custom Rail tool, I'm just going to color code them at this stage. We're going to use these two together, the outside and the inside. And we're going to use these two together, again, the inside and the outside. Okay. And of course, the one we want to use with this side is going to be blue. The one we want to use with this side is going to be orange. And the center, I'm going to draw eventually that center shape in purple. So put that on purple ahead of time here. And we'll job bag this change. And we are ready to see how Advanced Custom Rail works. With nothing else selected, go into the Tools menu and start up this tool. It's asking for the shape curves. Now the shape curves are only planar in a single view. So you want 2 planar curves in the looking down view. Do not select other curves in other views, even though you do that for curve from 2 views with history. Do not do that at this stage. It knows to use the center ring rail. Okay, so just select the 2 blue curves and press enter. See how it knew to use the center ring rail? The other cool thing about this tool is if you just change colors in the middle of it, it'll change colors as well. Okay, so it's creating that center, it's following that center finger curve. We also want to follow the outside curve to give us 2 rails at a time. So press the outside option up here and choose that outside rail. Wait just a moment, don't press enter, and you'll see it appear. Now take a look, we're getting a slight bowing outward, especially at the bottom. It's not following our side shape yet. It's kind of close, but no cigar. So we're going to choose the side profile option and grab that blue side profile. And again, just wait for it. And now you see it following much closer in the side view. It also gives you the handles, so you can assign how closely it follows up the rail as it goes. This is actually controlling the blend between the two shapes. You have curve from 2 views in this view, curve from 2 views in this view, and it's going to trim and blend them based on where you locate these handles. It's all explained in the manual, or you might get another tutorial about it in the future. Press enter when you like the results. We're going to do the same thing on the other side with the orange rails, but to just keep it clear, we'll go make cutting active and turn off user blue for right now. Advanced custom rail, remember to only select the curves that are planar in the same view, and it'll know that we want the inside finger rail. So advanced custom rail with our shape curves, and just give it a second to think. Oh, press enter when done, there we go, and give it a second to create the inside finger rail. Use the outside option and select the outside rail, and it's going to give you all 4, or all, or both, just 2 here. We're now ready for a side profile shape because it gets kind of funky right here. Side profile and choose the orange. There we go. Now we can control how far up or down that goes. And you might want to turn back on your blues now that you've got it all under control to figure out that to make sure they sort of match one another, that these two match. Also take a look because the curves you're creating are here, these orange ones at the top. Okay, and all along the side. So take a look at it from every angle to make sure it looks good to you. And once you like the results, press enter to end the work of the tool. Let's job bag it at this stage also. Now we're all set up for a multi-rail in terms of having 4 rail curves. However, in order to place profiles for that, the best way to place profiles is to get a center rail curve between the two so that you know everything's centered for this ring. And the way to do that is the center line command. Now remember that the center line command requires a surface. So we're going to go to the surface menu and choose just the plane from corners tool. Grab a new layer color. Plane from corners is really easy. Just draw it like a rectangle. If you draw it in the looking down view without snapping to anything, it'll draw it right along that looking down construction plane or C-plane grid. And that way you'll know that it's planar with the flat curves. Now we have a lot going on here, so I'm just going to turn some of this off, hide it for us to make it easier while I show you this next step. Okay, so all we need are the curves and the surface. Go to the Tools menu and find your center line tool. That opens up this interface where you put in the surface and 1 set of curves. You can only figure 1 at a time. Curve 1 and curve 2. Doesn't matter which one's which. Click on Start, and it creates that center line. Wasn't that nice of it? Go ahead to your Layers menu, and while this is still selected, just place it on Heads layer, because that's the layer we're going to use it on. Now repeat that process all over again for the other set of curves. Grab the surface, grab the first curve, and grab the second curve. Press Start, and it'll create that curve, and we'll go ahead and again place that on Heads layer. Lovely. Let's bring everything back with Show and job bag it at this stage. Okay, you don't need that surface anymore, so you can just delete it. Ooh, we have a lot going on there, huh? We're going to run Advanced Custom Rail one more time with this, just the purple curves. So we'll turn off everything else to give you an idea so you can see it better here. Turn off blue, turn off orange, and with working with just purple, start up Advanced Custom Rail one more time. The shape curves are these 2 purple curves. Press enter. It's going to use the center curve for you. Again, let's go put this on purple. Click on the outside rail. Without pressing enter, just let it catch up. Now it is staying really close to the center shape, except for right here. So to make it adhere to that straight line, choose the side profile and grab that center curve straight up and down. Now you can control how close it gets to that curve. Make sure it's just straight up and down so you have no problems placing profiles later. The other thing to do is go ahead and turn these back on, even though it'll be a little bit of information overload for you. Just make sure it stayed centered on these rails. Once when I was doing this for the written tutorial, it didn't. It sort of overlapped and it made kind of a mess, probably because I pushed my handles too far. Remember, these are all advanced applications, so kind of have to rely on your best judgment while you use them and your advanced skills. Once you like the purple curves, press enter. And you are ready to go. Let's job bag this guy. We're ready to add profiles to this now. To start with the profiles, I'm just going to turn off all the planar curves to make it easier to see what we're doing. So we'll go hide and hide. All right. The purple rails for the profiles and the orange and blue rails are for the multi-rail sweep. To begin placing profiles, we can use the ones we have out there right now, which makes perfect sense since we use them to create our rail curves. So select one of these profiles, press F6, and run MSR. Now, just remember that this is adhered to the center curve, the finger rail curve actually. Okay? And that's no good. We want it adhered to the inside purple curve so we can do position on curve and get one right up here beside the gem. To do that, we run select rail curve. While you're running this command, take a look. You have a sub option called keep location. You want to click that to toggle it to yes. You definitely want to keep the location of that curve. Okay. Now notice his buddy out here got mirrored, and that's no good. Go to mirror break. Okay. Actually, I'm going to hit undo for the sake of this video here. Just go ahead and run that again for you. We did a little out of order. I don't want to remake my video. It's very long. So working back a couple steps, before we chose the new first rail for this profile, hit F6 and MSR. The first order of business is to break that mirror, or else you'll get the result that I just had. So break your mirror. It's going to leave them both alone, but they're no longer going to have the mirror relationship. You want them at this location, just not mirrored, because obviously the center of this is somewhere around here, here, or something. It's not symmetric on both sides. So this is, like I said, about the hardest you could get with this ring here and still use history. Okay. Now we're going to run select rail curve. The new rail curve is the purple curve. Before you click on it, make sure keep location equals yes. Click it and it'll be left alone at that spot, but now associated with the purple curve. You can also choose a second rail curve. Do select second rail and click the outside rail for that. And it's now associated with both of these curves so that it grows when it's at the ends and it shrinks down here at the side. Okay, you want it at the quad, so leave it alone down there. Your next order of business is to do the same thing for this guy over here. So click on him to get the handles over there. We don't have the mirror relationship anymore, so we're fine with that. Just go to select rail curve. Keep location equals yes. The new rail is the inside purple one. And notice he didn't move from his spot. He stayed where he was. Choose a new second rail as well. That's the outside purple curve. Same thing. He didn't get moved, and we're ready to press enter. Okay. Actually, you don't need to press enter. I'm enter happy, remember. Just add another profile to this one. And as you add it, you'll get a second one up here. Notice he adheres to the rail. Now I want you to see something. When you get too close to the ends, it kind of jumps onto the next rail. The other thing it can do, it tends to do it on this side of the rail of the ring instead, is kind of like try to make this its second rail. It's the same curve on this side as this side. So you might need to back it off just a little from the very end there. But that's no problem. Scale the width down. And when you like the results, click on add to add another one of the same width at the other side of the ring. There it goes. Look, it's trying to use the height over there. Don't be alarmed. Just back it off a little bit from the end. It has a mind of its own. It's very headstrong, this matrix. When you get that properly positioned, Now you can press enter. If you wanted to, you could put one more at the bottom here to make it wider or narrower, I don't know, but I think we're just going to leave this one as is. And here's another good time to job bag it. Just remember when you're job bagging it to hit show if you want to keep all that extra stuff out there. Job bag it. Now we could even undo the show and put it all back away. But we have one last thing to do before we can multi-rail sweep. We have to take a look at our edit points and make sure they're going to be set up properly for the sweep. If you don't, it can multi-rail sweep and then break and do all kinds of wacky things. You can always fix them after, but it wigs me out to see it fail, so I like to set them up beforehand. Go turn one of these on again by selecting it. Turn on a profile again by selecting it and hitting F6, choosing MSR. Now look around for the E handle, click it, and you'll see all the edit points appear. You want to line these up as close as possible to the rails, and from this view it's a little hard to tell, but spin it around and make sure that they line up with the rails. Press enter. Remember, none of these are mirrored because it's not a symmetrical ring, so you have to go do all of them. Select and hit F6, choose E for edit points, and line these up so that they're as close as possible to the rails. Press enter. Same thing at the top. Get used to this. F6, MSR, edit points. Now you have two options here. You can try and line them up with the rails, or you can try to align them with the ones from the side. We'll try aligning them with the ones from the side here first. Hopefully that'll make for a successful result. F6, MSR, and edit these last set. Now, notice if you need to get back to editing the profile at all, click on M, and that takes you back into the handles. E for edit points, M for move, scale, and rotate. Press enter, and we are ready to sweep this. I'm going to turn off the purple. Let's actually job bag this one more time. Turn off the purple color so you can see very well what we're sweeping. We also don't need maroon. We're only sweeping the orange and blue curves with the yellow profiles. We're going to go up to the surface menu and choose our multi-rail sweep. Select the rail curves. Begin with the inner pair and work your way around in the direction the surface is going to be made to the outer pair. They tell me you shouldn't go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you also shouldn't go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though it goes in the correct order of selecting them, you want to make sure you select one pair, inner or outer first. And I just start with inner and then work my way around. They should just make sure you're doing it in order. You also shouldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to think about how the surface is going to be made. Press enter. Select the profiles. We've got the curves already, the rail curves. It can only select up to 4, so it doesn't make you press enter if you do 4. Select all your profiles, again in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, 3, 4, or anything else, and press enter. Just let it think for a minute. Don't get click happy at this stage. Let it think for a minute about creating this surface. And there's your surface. It created that surface beautifully, I must say. You're now able to do anything you'd usually do to this surface. We'll add the profile cap first to really show off what history can do. There's your profile end cap. And the way to make sure this is the same on both sides is just to hold down shift and select a value. Just notice the value it's on, 0.9. Press enter. We'll put this on a new layer color just to make sure you know that it's not joined. Once it's joined to the surface, it doesn't work with history anymore. So same thing over here, F6, MSR. Oops, sorry, I lied. Anytime you see that little handle, don't get click happy because it means, I'm sorry, not the handle, this guy. What's that called? Hourglass. Anytime you see the little hourglass, don't get click happy because Matrix is thinking and it needs to think. Okay. Let's find our profile. Oh, geez. Did I just say don't get click happy? I'm getting click happy. Okay, Back to the land of the living. Don't create a video at the same time as you're running this. Oh, wait a minute. F6 profile cap. And do you remember what I said? I think it was 0.9. There. It tends to do 0.9 in the other direction the next time you start it up. So helpful. 0.9. And press enter. Now we'll see if this thing wants to run with history, even though it's trying to make video at the same time. As I was saying, if we're going to now go and try to change anything about this ring, we're going to be able to do that because of history in the multi-rail sweep. And if we wanted to do that in the past, we would have had to build it all over again from scratch, which makes this a really powerful tool. So we'll turn back on all of our creation curves and see what we need to do in order to change this model. I'm going to select this from the start and hit F6, MSR, and go ahead and give it a little smaller width. I see kind of some wideness there, and press enter. Again, just let it think when you see that little hourglass. Don't get click happy and try to move it around at this stage. That can cause crashes because I don't know if you can hear it through the video, but my computer's chugging pretty hard right now. There's the change, and because it was thinking about it so hard, I'll just undo and redo again so you can see the difference. Okay, because that took a little bit of time, I went ahead and paused it for you. So I'll just undo and redo to see the changes. That's with just changing the width. Undo and redo. Really powerful stuff. Okay. We can also, of course, change the width up here. And just to ease my computer a little, I'm going to unshade it. So select the profile curve at the top, F6, MSR. We'll go ahead and change the width of this one a little. Press enter. And again, I just move my hand away from the mouse so I don't get click happy. And let's shade it up and see what's been done. Okay, I'll do undo and redo again. You have a fully interactive model that's really, really advanced. If we had to do this, change this width right here, or the one before it, in the past, we would have had to draw this ring all over again. Really difficult, not too much fun, and no way to really do an interactive model before this. Okay, this is our first sort of chance to do a really interactive model like this. Now, when I show all my creation curves again, we can talk about more of the changes that we can make to this with history. Okay, one of the first ones, of course, is that we can select the profiles, and we'll select the ones on the side to begin with. F6. I cheated, as you can see, and brought back some stuff that wasn't there before, so pay no attention there. Select the profiles, F6. And MSR and change their shape. Again, this is something that would have been really, really hard to do in the past versions of the software. So click on the shape handle there and grab a new shape for the profile. I like this groovy one down here. It's groovy. Press enter and wait a moment for the surface to change. And there's the new profile shape. Let's run undo and redo so you can see that change. It's really stunning what this can do. Okay, notice our edit points. That could be an interesting result, but might not be the one we want. So select the curve, run F6, MSR, click on the E. And you can always do this before you ever press enter when you're changing the shape. It's fine. Get them as close as you can to the rails so they're lined up and press enter. Again, it's going to take a second. We'll show you that one again. Undo. There's the original edit points and redo. It's the subtle differences that makes design great, huh? We'll do the same thing on the other side, this time in a single step. Select that profile, hit F6, MSR. Choose the shape option here. We'll do these the same. Scroll down to find that groovy profile. Select it. This time set up the edit points on it by clicking E and make sure they're properly aligned with the rails. Okay, we'll show you that amazing transformation one more time. Undo and redo. Really, really stunning what this tool can do with history. You can also change the profiles up here at the top of the ring. You can turn on control points for any of the flat curves and go ahead and edit those and have the changes carry through. Same thing goes for the curves that were used to create any of the curves used to create the advanced custom rails. So you could change the height of this overall using edit outside rail. Okay, so this is a really stunning tool that lets you just have tons of flexibility with even these advanced complex models made with curve from two views. There we go. Raising up the top height there. Really fun. Really fun. There it goes back down. There it goes back up. Really fun little tool for history. Okay. So that's the way to make these really complex models and advanced models that are still active with history. Now you'll notice a few things that doesn't adhere exactly to your rails. You'd want to change the profile width to get it to do that. If you don't like the kink up here, you'd add another profile right about here, or right about here, and sweep it again. You have a few more options. You can, of course, change the profiles up here. I'll just tell you that when you're doing that, you want to make sure that the edit points line up with the next profile down, or else you can get a lot of strange results where your surface tends to break. Okay, and if you wanted, let's see, if you wanted this really, really close to your rails, of course, surface modeling is what's going to get you that. So that'd be your next step in getting control, which doesn't really have the history interactivity, just the tools that we've shown you here. So this is about as far as you can get, which is still really, really far, with control and history on a really complex model like this one. Okay, and just to show you what I meant, if we go ahead and change this, let's get rid of this guy. He's a little extra from my video editing fun here. We'll go ahead and select the curve, making up that profile, F6 and MSR, and we'll go ahead and change the shape. And we're going to really go wacky with this shape. We're going to go in there and select something that's asymmetrical and really show you how you need to push these edit points around. This won't even work. It'll probably break the surface. So we're going to go into the edit points and take a look. Now these are mirrored around some strange origin. We're not going to worry about mirroring them. Just go to mirror points equals no. And make sure you set them again so they somewhat align with your rails as well as with your edit points on the other profile. So something like this. And press enter to see the changes. Okay, you can go ahead and see the changes with this one. A really neat little shape you can make here by changing the profile shape. We could do the same thing to the other side of the ring in the same way by making sure the edit points are properly lined up. So you've got tons of options with this tool in terms of history. Please try this out, make the most of it, and if you have any questions, of course, email GemVision Support or you can post into the forum and we'll be sure and help you out.